What's going on, guys, and welcome to today's video. And today we're going to be hopefully fixing death wobble on my Grand Cherokee. Now, yeah, I know a Jeep mechanic with death wobble, that probably shouldn't be happening, but it just started about a week ago and I haven't been able to get it into the shop, get it up in the air, and figure out what is going on. So that's what we're going to be doing today, is hopefully putting the old, myth to rest that mechanics have horrible broken vehicles, and we're going to be fixing something on this vehicle. So I know my suspension is all sorted, but I think we probably got some steering components worn. So like I said, we're gonna go out, drive to the shop, hopefully get it to do the death wobble so I can show you guys, because it does it in the exact same spot every single day going to work. We'll get it in the shop, figure out what we've got going on, and hopefully take care of it. So let's jump in the Jeep and let's head down the road. So guys, just about every single day that I drive now, if I hit this certain spot on the road at the certain speed, I can almost guarantee it to death wobble. And just like that, we are death wobbling all over the road. And I don't know how well that comes through on camera, but it's not a very fun thing. Steering wheel shaking, front end shaking, you feel it throughout the vehicle. The only way to get it to stop is to basically slow down and let the vehicle get below whatever the magic mile per hour is for the death wobble to stop going. So yeah, we've definitely got to get that taken care of today. I've got a lot of driving to do tomorrow because this thing's going off-road and it's got a lot of driving to do. So I've got to get into the shop, get this thing figured out, sorted, and hopefully kill the death wobble. Now, I know my suspension is very nice and tight. I've recently been through that. I even had a video recently kind of going through all of the suspension, but we need to check over our steering because I'm pretty sure we've got some tie rod ends that aren't doing very well. So we're gonna get in the shop, we'll get it up on the lift, start pry barring around on this suspension, and hopefully figure out what we've got going on. All right, guys, so fast forward to the shop here. We've got the Jeep up in the air. We've got both front tires off, and we're gonna start looking at this suspension. At least on my personal Jeep here, I know that I've got a lot of new suspension components. We've got a newer track bar. We've got new bushings in all of our control arms and our control arm mounts. And we've got new aftermarket control arms with nice, fresh rubber bushings. So I at least know that all of my front suspension is nice and tidy. Obviously, if you've got loose, worn, tired suspension, you're gonna want to take care of that so you can eliminate other causes of death wobble. But at least in my case, I know that all of my suspension is good. I need to be looking at all of my steering components, which is pretty easy. I've got a pry bar here, and we're gonna start putting some load or pressure on all of our different tie rod ends. So, and what you're looking for is just any sort of up and down movement. And that one coming off the pitman arm is nice and tight. We've got another here at the other end of the pitman arm. And again, that one is nice and tight. Come over to our left tie rod end, and that one is nice and tight also. Last but not least here, and again, guys, I don't know if you can see that on camera or not, but I have a decent amount of up and down play in that tie rod end. Again, no clue if you can really tell that little bit of play, but I am pretty sure that is all of my issue with my death wobble on this thing. That little bit of play lets the wheels move, we hit a bump, it all goes from there. So I am going to throw two new tie rods here, one on the right side, one on the left side, because I don't want to have to do an alignment again if in fact the other side eventually wears out. So I'm just gonna throw both on now, do one alignment, and hopefully take care of the death wobble. This will kind of be a good test because I'm going to change absolutely nothing else other than the worn out tie rod end. We're gonna go out, hit the same bump in the road, and see if we death wobble or not. I've got a new left and right tie rod end. Now, one thing you're going to want to do is get some anti-seize and slather the threads You're gonna wanna do a pretty decent coating all the way up and down the threads, because this thing is exposed to the elements and you're gonna hate yourself, or whoever's doing your alignment in the future. When these two things are dry and they rust together, you can never, ever get these to move. You're using a torch, you're using heat, it's not good. And sometimes they're so rusted solid, you can't get any adjustment out of that tie rod end or that drag link. So just go ahead, do yourself a favor, throw some anti-seize on them. It'll make yourself happier, and it'll make the alignment technician happier in the future when the thing is not a rusted, crusted, horrible thing to work on. So I'm gonna throw you guys on the tripod, and we're gonna get these tie rod ends taken off. Now, one thing really quick, since you will probably not be doing your own alignment, when you remove your tie rod ends, you'll probably be doing it at home on your driveway, you're gonna need to drive it to whatever place is doing your alignment. Now, you don't want your alignment horribly out, or you're just gonna be chewing up your tires all the way there to the alignment shop. So one kind of trick you can do is counting the number of turns when you remove those tie rod ends. So we're gonna get the castle nut off, we're gonna break the tie rod end out of the steering knuckle, loosen up our clamp, and then we are going to count the number of turns until this tie rod end falls out. If that's 20 turns or 21 turns or 30 turns, count the number, remember how many it is, and then your new tie rod end you can take and screw it into your tie rod or drag link or whatever you're working on the exact same amount of turns. Now, no, every single manufacturer isn't going to be perfectly the same spec, but it should be very, very close and at least get you to the alignment shop without destroying tires any more than you need to be. So I'm going to count my turns. We're going to throw it back down on the ground, get it over to the alignment rack, get it aligned, and then go out and drive that same road that I hit before and see if we've got issues or not. So guys, we've got this thing thrown on the alignment rack now, and I will flip you around and show you the specs where this thing is currently sitting after counting our turns. So as you can see, no, we are not perfectly in spec, but we are at least just barely out enough that we can very easily or happily or safely drive to the alignment shop and have the alignment done. Because if we wouldn't have counted the turns, it would have been crazy off. I mean, how would you have known how far or not to go? I mean, you could try and tape measure the front wheels to make them straight, but I haven't had good luck with that in the past, at least. So count your turns, know how many you pulled it out, put it back in, and you should at least be in the ballpark of where you're supposed to be. So I'm gonna get this thing dialed in the rest of the way, and then we'll get it out on the road and hit the same bump and hope for the best. Well, we've got our new tie rod ends on this thing, and I'm gonna take it down the road and hit the exact same bump I've been hitting every single morning and causing the death wobble, and we did at the beginning of the video. Now, I guess if you guys see this video, it fixed it, but if it still death wobbles, obviously you're not going to see this video. So I hope you guys see this thing, but I'm going to drive at my normal speed, hit the same bump with my hands very carelessly not on the wheel, and see, did we fix our death wobble? And yeah, that was my little bump back there that has been causing me horrible issues for a week now. So With one $50 tie rod end, we were able to take care of our death wobble on this thing. So guys, if you've been battling death wobble on your Wrangler or any solid axle vehicle for that matter, and you know your suspension is all in check, everything's nice, fresh, new, or is at least been okayed, then you may want to start looking at your steering tie rod ends, the drag link ends, check all of that over. Like I said, get the pry bar out, see if you can get some up and down movement, because even that teeny little minute amount of movement on one of the tie rod ends was enough to cause all of the drama, all of the death wobble, and really make driving a not very fun experience. So get under there, pry bar stuff around, and see if you can find a bad tie rod end. And remember, count the turns coming out, count the turns going in, so it's really close, and make sure you get in alignment at the end. So guys, thanks for coming along on another Jeep repair shop video. And guys, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys next time.